The breaking news that Angela Rayner has resigned over the £40 zero tax row has sent shockwaves through the entire political landscape of the United Kingdom. This is not just another resignation. This is not just another politician stepping down under pressure. This is a seismic moment that exposes cracks within Sir Keir Starmer's Labour government and sets the stage for what could be one of the most dramatic political battles in recent history. Tonight, Britain finds itself not just discussing policy or promises, but staring into the heart of chaos, division, and mistrust. For months, questions swirled around Angela Rayner's tax affairs, particularly concerning a 40-0 discrepancy tied to her housing and financial dealings. Critics demanded transparency, journalists pressed for answers, and the opposition seized every opportunity to highlight what they described as hypocrisy within Labour ranks. Rayner, long considered one of Labour's most fiery and outspoken figures, initially fought back with her trademark defiance. She insisted that she had nothing to hide and that the accusations were politically motivated. But as the pressure mounted, the walls closed in. The decision to resign did not come lightly. Those close to Rayner described a woman torn between loyalty to her party and loyalty to the truth. Her resignation statement, released with trembling words, carried an emotional weight that resonated across the nation. She admitted that while she believed she had done nothing intentionally wrong, the cloud of controversy hanging over her role had become too heavy, too damaging, and too distracting for the Labour Party to move forward. In stepping down, she claimed she wanted to protect Labour's credibility and prevent further damage to Starmer's government. Yet, rather than strengthening Starmer's grip, Rayner's resignation has plunged his leadership into unprecedented turmoil. For years, she was his deputy, his ally, and at times his fiercest critic from within. Their relationship was complex, marked by moments of unity and moments of tension. But now, her absence leaves a vacuum, one that is already being filled with speculation, backstabbing, and power struggles. The optics are devastating for Labour. A party that promised honesty, transparency, and accountability now finds itself embroiled in the very scandals it once condemned in others. Keir Starmer, who built his brand on restoring trust in politics after years of disillusionment, now faces accusations of presiding over a party in chaos. His opponents argue that if he cannot manage his own team, how can he be trusted to manage the country? The timing could not be worse. With public trust in politicians already at historic lows, Labour now risks being painted with the same brush of corruption and incompetence that has plagued British politics for decades. What makes this moment so emotionally charged is not just the numbers on a tax form or the technicalities of financial disclosure. It is the sense of betrayal. Millions of ordinary citizens who pay their taxes faithfully, who struggle with the rising cost of living, and who face the brutal realities of inflation and economic uncertainty, now look at their leaders and ask, do the rules apply to them in the same way they apply to us? When the public feels that leaders live by a different set of standards, trust collapses. That collapse is what makes Rayner's resignation so politically radioactive. Inside Labour, factions are sharpening their knives. Some MPs are furious, arguing that Rayner's resignation was unnecessary and that Starmer should have stood by her more firmly. Others quietly whisper that this was inevitable and perhaps even necessary to save Labour from deeper scandal. Yet beneath those whispers lies an uncomfortable truth. Starmer himself now looks weaker, not stronger. By losing his deputy under such circumstances, he has not contained the crisis, he has magnified it. The Conservatives, Reform UK, and other opposition voices are already circling like vultures. They will seize upon this moment to argue that Labour cannot be trusted, that its promises of a new, clean politics were nothing more than slogans, and that chaos reigns behind closed doors. In the weeks ahead, expect campaign ads, parliamentary debates, and media soundbites to hammer this point relentlessly. For Starmer, the challenge will be not just defending his party's integrity, but his own leadership. But let us pause for a moment to consider Angela Rayner herself. She was not just a deputy leader. She was, for many working-class voters, the authentic voice of Labour, a woman who rose from poverty, from a council estate upbringing, to the upper echelons of British politics. Her story inspired millions, proving that politics was not just for the privileged or the elite. For her supporters, this resignation feels like a personal loss. They see it as the silencing of a woman who spoke truth to power, who represented ordinary people in a system often dominated by polished, elite voices. Her departure will not go quietly into the night. Rayner is too passionate, too outspoken, too embedded in the hearts of many voters to simply fade away. Already, speculation swirls about her next move. Will she return to the backbenches and bide her time? Will she plot a comeback when the storm passes? Or will she take her fight outside the halls of Westminster, rallying the public from the ground up? Whatever her choice, one thing is certain. The Angela Rayner story is far from over. For Keir Starmer, however, the immediate challenge is survival. He must rally his MPs, reassure the public, and rebuild the crumbling image of a party that promised to be different. But the truth is harsh. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to repair. Every interview, every debate, every campaign promise he makes from this day forward will be shadowed by the question of integrity. Can Labour truly claim the moral high ground after this? Can Starmer truly present himself as a leader of principle when his deputy has fallen over something as serious as a 40-0 tax row? This is not just a story about Angela Rayner. It is a story about leadership, about accountability, and about the fragile relationship between politicians and the people they serve. Britain has been burned too many times by scandals, cover-ups, and broken promises. Each new scandal erodes what little trust remains, leaving citizens cynical, weary, and angry. The Rayner resignation is not an isolated event. It is part of a pattern, part of a deeper sickness within politics that demands more than speeches and apologies. It demands radical honesty. As we move forward, one thing is clear. This moment will be remembered as a turning point. Whether it becomes the beginning of Labour's downfall or the start of a painful rebirth depends on what happens next. The choices Keir Starmer makes in the coming days will shape not only his own political destiny, but the future of his party, and perhaps the nation itself. This is Britain, standing at a crossroads, staring at chaos and searching desperately for clarity. The question that lingers tonight is simple yet profound. Can the Labour Party survive this storm? Or has Angela Rayner's resignation set into motion the slow unraveling of everything Starmer has tried to build? And perhaps the more haunting question is this: if not Labour, if not Starmer, then who? Who will step forward to lead a nation in desperate need of hope, stability, and trust?